Check, check. Folks, we are talking about miraculous powers today, and I don't know if you saw what I just did, but it was pretty much a miracle. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Judson Memorial Church. It is so wonderful to see the folks who are in person here. It's so wonderful to not see the folks who are gathered in our Zoom worship space, but I trust that you are there and that you can now hear me. My name is Micah, and I'm one of the ministers here. My pronouns are he and they, and I have the privilege of serving with Reverend Dr. Valerie Holly here, and to serve all of the wonderful Judsonites here. And I thought it was just going to be a lazy August Sunday, but you all are rolling in, even in this heat. So thank you for making your way to this space today for our beautiful agape ritual. If you are at home and you want to participate in agape, please make sure that you grab something to eat or drink so that you have it with you so that you can participate as we in the space gather around table and enjoy our communion ritual. And we also start our services here with announcements. So if anyone has one, please come to the front. Keep your mask on until you reach this lectern. Then you can take your mask off so that we can see your face and hear your voice, and then put it back on as you head back to your seat. Suresh, why don't you start?
Good morning, Judson. My name is Suresh. I am the Common Life Chair. So two things. It's agape, which means extra cleanup. So if you can stay back a little after service to help clean up, that would be appreciated. And two, coffee hour is outside again this week. So after you help clean up, you can go enjoy coffee hour outside by the office. Thank you.
Let's have a hand for Suresh, who beautifully leads our Con Life Committee. Thank you so much, Suresh, for the miracles that you work. Any other announcements here? A summer miracle? Oh, here we go. Come on, Mark.
Hi, my name is Mark. My pronouns are he, him. Just want to let you know that there is a delightful event happening this Saturday at 2 p.m. It's in the back page of your bulletins. It's an interfaith discussion group that we hold with Congregation Road of Shalom, a Reformed synagogue on the Upper West Side. The event's called Together in Faith, Together in Heart. We ask usually a very overly deep and profound question. Micah and Rabbi Ben Spratt from Rodef share a brief bit of text, and then it's open conversation where people share their own experiences, their own thoughts, their own reflections. And it's a chance to see how spirituality, faith, and ideas mix in our hearts. I hope you can make it, and thank you.
More announcements. Okay, I just have a couple before we turn it over to the Reverend for our land acknowledgement, and that is that you probably know, but on Saturday, upcoming Saturday, we will be celebrating the life of our beloved Jane Thomason in this very space. So if you knew Jane, I know you will want to be here to celebrate her life. If you didn't know Jane, please know that you are welcome to come. We love sharing the stories of our congregants here in this space, and you are more than welcome to come and hear all about the love love that we continue to spread because Jane spread love to us. And it's special also to me to acknowledge that we're going to celebrate Jane's life as we enter an agape today, because Jane, for years and years and years, invited us so poetically, so prayerfully to the agape table each first Sunday. So gratitude to Jane and the love that we feel in this space that she conjured for the years that she spent here. Also, speaking of love in this space, I have some surprise, not guests here today. Our creative contributors who are here today will be familiar faces to many folks, and you will hear me wax poetic probably more during this service, but I'm fangirling out here because I'm just so excited to have Jeff Turrentine back in the space, who's gonna do an original song, to have Sarah Kraft back in the space, who's gonna bring us into worship with a prelude, and to have Sarah Duncan in the space, who has created a poem for this service. I mean, miracles abound. Thank you for being here. It's so wonderful to have you. Reverend Valerie, will you acknowledge the first peoples of this land?
Okay. Good morning, everyone. So I'm getting ready to read the land acknowledgement. Before I do that, hi, Reverend Roy and our Zoom folks, all of you that are on Zoom. I'm sure Reverend Roy has put in the chat a copy of the bulletin for you. And if you need it a few times, you know, if you come in a little later and put it in the chat that you need a bulletin, Roy will put the text in for you. So I just wanted to say that and say hi to all of you all and welcome you, as Reverend Micah has said. We're so grateful that you're on with us. So I'm going to read the land acknowledgement today, and those that have the bulletin, you can follow along, or if not, you can just listen as I read it. Judson's physical space stands on the ancestral land of the Munsee Lenape people. Our community acknowledges the Lenape community, their elders, both past and present, as well as future generations. And we make this acknowledgement as only one part of our necessary and faithful work to dismantle the ongoing legacies of Christian supremacy, settler colonialism, and white supremacy. At this time, we will have our prelude by one of those folks that Micah mentioned is a guest, but not really a guest today. I know that the first time a friend of mine who's here with me first heard this person speak, I have to say it, I was waiting to see the reaction because the one coming up, Sarah, was right behind us. And I knew there was going to be a reaction to that voice, and it was. And I watched Linda's face. She's like, who's singing? And so, but now you'll get to see. Our own soloist will be Sarah Kraft, Ordinary Miracle by Glenn Ballard and David Alice Stewart. Y'all give a hand. Sarah.
It's not that unusual when everything is beautiful. It's just another ordinary miracle today. The sky knows when it's time to snow. Don't need to teach a seed to grow. It's just another ordinary miracle today. Life is like a gift, they say, wrapped up for you every day. Open up and find a way to give some of your own. Isn't it remarkable that every time a raindrop falls, it's just another ordinary miracle today. Birds in winter have their fling, but always make it home by spring. It's just another ordinary miracle today. When you wake up every day, please don't throw your dreams away. Hold them close to your heart, 'cause we are all a part of the ordinary miracle. Ordinary miracle. Do you want to see a miracle? It seems so exceptional that things just work out after all. It's just another ordinary miracle today. The sun comes up and shines so bright, but disappears again at night. It's just another ordinary miracle today. It's just another ordinary miracle today.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Would you all please rise in body and/or spirit? And if you feel comfortable, just close your eyes for a moment as we call ourselves to worship. Check in with your body as I pray a prayer for ordinary miracles. Good morning, body. You who creaks and aches and threatens to fall apart. Do exactly what you're supposed to do. Give me information and tell me where it hurts. Good morning, heart. You who swells and flutters and threatens to break. Do exactly what you're supposed to do. Beat out a fragile rhythm for the rest of me to follow. Good morning, mind. You who fidgets and stutters and threatens to get lost. Do exactly what you're supposed to do. Cradle my intentions and infuse them with imagination. Good morning, lungs. You who gasp and empty and threaten to collapse. Do exactly what you're supposed to do. Bring air into me and then send it back out, announcing my recommitment to every other living thing. Good morning, miracles. You who clamor for attention I so rarely offer. Do exactly what you're supposed to do. Forgive me for forgetting you and allow my awe to be ignited by your astonishing ordinariness. Amen. Let's blow the roof off this place by singing For the Beauty of the Earth.
The ancient testimony is taken from 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 4 to 11. First Nations version. Different kinds of giftings. There are different kinds of spiritual giftings, but they all come from the same Spirit. There are also different ways of serving, but the examples to serve comes from the same honored chief. Creator's power works in different ways through different people, but it is the same Great Spirit who is at work in all of them. It is in these many ways that the Holy Spirit makes himself known, or herself, in and through each of us for the good of all. Creator's Spirit gives to one person words full of wisdom, and the same Spirit gives another person words full of knowledge. The Spirit gives a different person great faith, and still another healing powers by the same Spirit. The Holy Spirit gives to one person miraculous powers, to another the power to speak Creator's words. To another, the Spirit gives the ability to tell good spirits from bad ones. To another, the Spirit gives the ability to speak in different languages, and to another, the ability to interpret those languages. The power to do all of these things comes from the one Spirit. It is this Spirit who decides which powers are to be given to each person.
And now, excuse me, the miracles just keep coming out of my fingers. And now, I don't know if maybe we should, Check, check, here I am. Okay, we're all in this together, folks. Glad to have you here. So, as promised, I've got Sarah Duncan coming up to the lectern, but I want to bring us back to a couple of years ago, pre-pandemic. If you were part of the Judson community, one of the greatest joys of Agape for me was that we would bring in a Judson arts artist who was performing that Wednesday to share with us something that they wanted to share during our Agape service. And so this is kind of like a return to that form, which we haven't done since before the pandemic. So it's a great joy to me. It's also a great joy just to have Sarah in the building. So Sarah, come on up.
Kind of afraid to touch it. Okay. All right. Take off, you mean? Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right. Good morning, Judson. All right. Today's modern testimony is by me. The poem is Wishing, Hoping, Thinking, Praying. August finds us quietly sticking our hopes into secret places. We pluck petals off plastic flowers outside the CVS, watch video clips of strangers blowing on dandelions, and send out our hopes through the screen with theirs. We write the miracles we want to see onto slips of paper and stick them under our children's pillows next to their baby teeth, toss our wishings into the least dry well we can find, and keep our pennies because we need them. We pinch off pieces of our waiting and flatten it against our tongues, praying when it dissolves we will feel a kick of belief in the possibility of a belief in something beyond demise. Aren't we done yet, we ask? Haven't we twisted enough in this great turning? Can help come to us now? But the great turning has been unveiled as nothing more than a great spinning, a spiraling, long being of ceaseless, even as we look heavenward for a sign of key change and surprise. But that's the thing about circles. Nothing arrives. For miracle is not a dog. It doesn't come when called, bounding on all fours towards your outstretched hand, nor sensing when to yank us out of the rushes of danger onto muddy banks by canine teeth and grit. No, miracle has long been on the Zoom, perpetually forgetting to unmute, quiet, until one of us pays enough attention to alert the rest and tell her, we want to hear you. We want to hear you. We are ready, and we want to hear. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I don't know why this mic doesn't like me, but I'm going to switch to the wireless in just a second. Folks, please rise in body and/or spirit and sing just the first verse of Anal Carmine's classic Many Gifts, One Spirit. And would you pray with me? May I say what I need to say, and may you hear what you need to hear. Amen. All right, folks, are you ready for a miracle? We are now 5 weeks into our Sunday morning series exploring spiritual gifts for extraordinary times. And up until now, we've stayed pretty grounded in reality. If you need a little reminder, we are spending 10 weeks talking about this church and this world in transition. Judson's Transition Committee has released a transition report on their findings after surveying the congregation about who we've been and who we are. And we are now in the midst of using these findings as a launch pad for reimagining who this congregation can be, and maybe even reimagining what this world can be. No pressure. As a part of this work, we want each of you to be thinking about what we each bring to this place and to this world. And we are using the Apostle Paul's first century outlining of spiritual gifts as a way to mine our minds and hearts to explore and appreciate both our own gifts and the gifts of everyone around us. And thus far, we have explored the gift of healing, the gift of knowledge, the gift of faith, and the gift of wisdom. And our lineup of preachers has given us lots of good, grounded food for thought. And now this morning, watch out, because we are about to careen completely off the rails as I attempt to talk to this group of smart, savvy, appropriately skeptical seekers about the gift of, wait for it, miraculous powers. Are you ready for this? It is already a miracle that I didn't call in sick today. Heaven help me. Who gave me this assignment? Oh yeah, me. In fact, just to see where we're at, I'd love to take a brief survey. If you believe that you possess the gift of miraculous powers, please raise your hand. Oh. Tell me about a miracle.
I have the gift of speaking in tongues.
Beautiful. We're going to get to that in a couple of weeks, too. Can't wait. Tell me about a miracle.
Oh, God, come to me last. I can't think of anything.
I'm not going to go all the way around the room. We don't got time for that. But I am glad to see. Raise your hand again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got 7 folks who have the spiritual gift of miraculous powers. We are going to put that to the test at the end of this service. Look forward to it. I know that I am. And that is all very good to know. Miracles, I would say, are typically the major sticky hurdle for faithful folks who want to both ground themselves in the scientific realities of our post-Enlightenment present and stay invested in preserving the power of the scriptural traditions of the past. But I'm so happy to see that there are 7 of people among us who don't seem to have that hurdle. So thank you for modeling for that today, and I will get back to that in a second. Our Bible doesn't really make finding and maintaining the balance between understanding and appreciating science and also understanding and appreciating the miracle tradition in our scriptures very easy. But we don't talk about miracles a lot here at Judson. And that makes sense. The concept of miracles has been so misused and abused and tossed carelessly around for centuries. It's no wonder that most intelligent, discerning people want no part of the parsing of their powers. We've lost too many people to sickness. We've watched too many evil acts go uncontested. We've prayed too many unanswered prayers and watched too many promises from ministers and doctors and ourselves. We've watched those promises wither away in front of us. We've seen the world marred by way too much magical thinking. We don't really talk about miracles that much at Judson. In fact, last week, when Reverend William Stell preached right at this lectern about the gift of wisdom, he pointed out that that word wisdom appears 3 times in our congregation's transition committee report. At Judson, we believe that we have wisdom as a congregation, and we seek wisdom from sacred texts, and we want our spiritual leaders to possess wisdom that will push us to be even wiser. But you know what word doesn't appear at all in the Transition Committee's report? You guessed it, miracles. The word miracle is nowhere to be found in the report's exhaustive 52 pages. And we'll come back to the transition report in a moment. But first, I want to say a word about the role of miracles in ancient times. It's important to note that what gets translated as miracle in English is actually a bit different in the original Greek of our scriptures. The Greek words rendered as miracle in the English Bibles were semeion, which means sign, teros, which means wonder, and dynamis, which means power. In short, a miracle can be thought of as basically a wonderful and powerful sign. And I hope that we can all agree that no matter what we think of the concept of miracles, we've all experienced wonderful and powerful signs at least a few times in our lives. But here's another important thing to know about the role of miracles in ancient times. People
believed in them. Full stop. In ancient times, people believed that there was an order to the world, even a science, a system that was just a bit different from the order and science we appreciate today. In ancient times, awe-inspiring events happened every day. Even an expected event like the sun rising in the morning was a spectacular, humbling experience that seemed truly miraculous. And the beauty of the earth that we celebrated so robustly in our opening song was literally a miracle in ancient times. Basically, everything that happened could potentially be thought of as a miracle. Waking up wasn't a matter of biology. It was a matter of some creative hand of the universe granting you one more day. The question was not whether miracles happened. Miracles were real. One of my favorite aspects of our ancient testimony is how Paul just slides the words miraculous powers in among all the other mundane gifts, as if like it's just a given. Oh, and miraculous powers, of course. There are people among you who have them. And clearly I now know that there are 7 people among us who have them. So in an ancient world where miracles were real, when a supposed miracle happened, the first question about it was not, was that real? The questions asked were, who did that? Where did their power come from? And are they using their power for good or ill? The scientific method in ancient times was to test the powers that any miracle maker was using to see if those powers were being used to lessen suffering or worsen suffering. If the power was being used to lessen suffering, that person might be someone worth your time and attention. So I want to hold up a mirror to all of you right now and ask you 2 questions. Where does your power come from? And what are you using it for? A mirror can be a great thing in times of transition because mirrors don't lie. So I am holding up a mirror to you today to tell you that whether or not you believe it, you are powerful. So where is your power coming from? And what are you using it for? Where's it coming from and what are you using it for at Judson and in the world? The word miracle might not be anywhere in our transition report, but you know what word is all over it? Mirror. The word mirror appears in our transition report a whopping 13 times. When our transition committee embarked on its task, it first set out to hire a transition minister who would help Judson to do what we called mirror work. This work was intended to invite the transition committee and the minister to observe our congregation and, quote, hold up a mirror to the church and help it see things that are not healthy or working well, help the church acknowledge the work that needs to be done, and if possible, identify possible solutions. If you're following along, this can be found on page 7, where you'll also read that the transition committee and transition minister's mirror work also included, quote, careful observing and empathetic gleaning of diverse topics as if they were reflected in a mirror. And here's where I think we can start to see our post-enlightenment selves in the reflection of the word miracle. I truly believe that the mirror work that our transition committee has been doing is a miracle. And I mean that in the deepest etymological way. Holding up a mirror is a wonderful, powerful sign. It might not always feel good, but holding up a mirror is a miracle. And if you don't believe me, let's back it up with science. You ready? Nothing like an armchair scientist up here backing stuff up with science, but you ready? Have you ever heard of mirror cells? I see some nods out there, about as many as the people who have miracle powers. So if you thought a sermon on miracles couldn't get all sciencey real fast, think again. Let's talk about mirror cells or mirror neurons. Here's the scoop. Back in the 1980s, scientists started to pinpoint neurons in the brains of monkeys, neurons that fired at two specific times, both when the monkey performed an act and when the monkey observed the same action being performed by another monkey. The same thing happened in the brain when the monkey was doing the thing and when it saw another monkey doing the same thing. And eventually, scientists found these same neurons in humans and in birds, so congratulations. These neurons mirror the behavior of others, as though the observer were acting themselves. These cells act like tiny biological mirrors that kick into gear when we observe the actions and situations of others, which then helps us to develop empathy through this witnessing, and then gain the power to imagine our own transformation. Basically, mirror neurons help us to create two main connections. First, they help us to put ourselves in the shoes of others, and they help us to understand a situation that we ourselves have not necessarily been in yet. And then, second, they help us to take that model and imagine new pathways for our own future actions. The more you encounter another's joy and pain, the more you engage another's tragedy and triumph, the more you encounter and engage your own empathy and imagination. Does this all sound a bit too theoretical? Okay, good, you're following me. But I still want to give you a very real, very concrete example. Kansas. Kansas! Can we hear? Let's hear for Kansas more. Are you kidding me? In the wake of the tragic Supreme Court demolition of federally preserved abortion access for all, Kansas, of all places, turned it out and modeled what it looks like to reject abortion restrictions and actively embody the abundant backlash we wish to see in the world. If you've seen Jordan Peele's new movie, Nope, you might call the Supreme Court's shocking and debilitating power move, quote, a bad miracle. But it was a bad miracle that had decades of work and organizing behind it. So, how do you counter a bad miracle that had tons of work and organizing behind it? You have to meet it with a good miracle with tons of work and organizing behind it. Even the people who were working so hard to make it happen seem shocked by the outcome. It's like a miracle with a whole lot of work and organizing behind it. And here's where mirror cells come in. Because I want you to think back to the moment that you heard the news about Kansas. Can you remember the moment? You know that feeling of hope? You know that feeling of joy and possibility that you felt? That's not just generic joy. That feeling is a science-backed miracle. That feeling is the firing up of the mirror neurons in your own brain as you witness something hopeful happening and then connecting it to the potent possibility in your own heart. It's the feeling of your body and spirit believing again that this is not just something that you are watching, but something that you can do yourself, something that you can imagine yourself, something that you can create yourself. Did you know that there's another etymological root for the word miracle? If you dig way back to its origins, the word miracle derives from the word smeros, which means to smile. I find great comfort in knowing that the root of a word, as gigantic seeming as miracle, connects to a word as small and seemingly mundane as smile. Did you smile when you heard the news about Kansas? That's your mirror cells working a miracle. That's your mind and heart telling you that this is not only something that happened, but also something you can do as well. So where does your power come from? And what are you using it for? In times of transition, empire thrives on convincing those who might do good to just disappear into scarcity mindset and do nothing. In times of transition, and basically in all times, empire wants to convince us that we need to cling to the power of false idols because we fear we have no power without these lying myths. But you are a living, breathing miracle. For the Bible tells you so, but also science tells you so. You are not just a witness to the world. You are not just called to watch. You are called to encounter, to engage, to empathize, and most of all, imagine new possibilities of the power that you've got, whether you want to acknowledge it or not. Despair is a luxury. Hopelessness is a luxury. Magical thinking is dangerous, but that doesn't mean that we aren't capable of magic. Whenever we drop the false idols and lean into the real work that we need to do, that's when miracles happen. And if I may co-opt the transition committee's language and replace the word church with the word yourself, I'd like to invite you to do something abundant in the face of the myth of scarcity. Let's do some self-mirror work. The steps are simple. Hold up a mirror to yourself and help yourself see things that are not healthy or working well. Help yourself acknowledge the work that needs to be done. And if possible, identify possible solutions through careful observing and empathetic gleaning of diverse topics as if they were reflected in a mirror. You can do that for the church, and you can do that for yourself at the same time. Ask these questions. Where does your power come from? And what are you using it for? And then wait and see what the reflection reveals. Remember the true definition of miracle, a wonderful and powerful sign. Be awed, be humbled, be a witness, but also be part of the work. All it takes is one miraculous move, followed by another miraculous move, followed by another miraculous move, and so on until we are witnessing and working a world full of good miracles. We are about to enter our moment of remembering our own agape magical ritual. Like always, you will be invited to get a piece of bread and a cup of liquid, and we will ritualize the miracles that we not only wish to see, but that we wish to make in the world. But it doesn't stop there. Ritual is a conduit for the miracle, But the ritual isn't the miracle. You are. As you engage these elements today, I invite you to commit to making one miraculous move after you leave this place today. Maybe you already have a plan. One miraculous move. It's as simple as that. Leave this ritual and know that you only have to make one move, and then together we become the one miraculous movement. So move. Move to this table if you so choose. You are welcome here, even if it's your first time at Judson. Get something to eat, get something to drink. If you'd rather just sit in your seat, you can still move a miracle sitting down. We'll call you back in a moment, but make one miraculous move toward that table today, and as you're doing so, figure out what you're going to do after you leave this space. See you in a sec.
So we are at the agape table. We have given you time, certainly Reverend Micah has, for everyone to partake, those that wanted to. Freddie, would you like to come to the table? If not, that's fine. If you want to, you can. I'm going to give you time to come over. You know I can talk too, so. We want to make sure that our Zoom folk have had time, if they haven't already, to go and get something, if they choose to. Okay. So at this time, we're going to pick up the bread. I'm going to take a piece of it. And on this night, as we've heard before, this is an interesting day. Michael likes to say he was among his friends, and there's people that will call a friend who wanted to betray him. And he still sat with them, which is interesting. That's a lesson in itself. And he said to them, you know, we are going to take part in this ritual, and I'm going to quickly pray before I do it. Excuse me. The Mother, Father, everything, God, we thank you for the ritual. We thank you for this opportunity to continue to understand what you represent to us that take part of it, to continue to understand that you included us at your table. Amen. So he took the bread, He broke it, and he gave to each of his folk. And he told them, I'm going to serve Mike at this moment, to take a piece. And then as everyone was served, he then took a piece. And he said, each time you eat of this bread, I want you to remember me, because the bread will represent my body. Each time you do this in remembrance of me. Let us all eat together.
In the same way, Jesus lifted up the cup and he looked around at all of his friends and he said, I know this might look like just some normal cup, but this is a cup of miracles. Whenever you drink from it, do it in remembrance of the covenant we are making tonight, that we will always love one another as we love ourselves. Let's drink together. And here at Judson, we also like to imagine that they sang together. So let's sing a beautiful song composed by our very own Jenny Seelig as we reflect on the body and the cup of blessing that we've just partaken of. I will never stop marveling at the talent that we have abounding in this congregation. So thank you, Jenny, for that gift of a song. And we are about, as promised, to welcome Jeff Turrentine up to sing a song that he wrote for this place years ago. I'm so happy to have you back, Jeff. Thank you for this offering. And now is the moment in our service where we also welcome your monetary offerings, if you would so like to give and are able. There are multiple ways to give. You'll see good old-fashioned church baskets going around if you'd like to place something in there. You'll also find in your bulletin multiple ways to give online. No gift is too small. No gift is too large. Thank you for all that you give to this space. Thank you, Jeff, for this creative offering.
of my treacheries and treasons. There's not time enough for telling. And although I had my reasons, I'm sure you'd find them uncompelling. There's a ledger up in heaven that is heavy with the record of my sin. But every morning I wake up to find you there, and you let me try again. Well, Jesus called for his disciples. He said, boys, you'd better hurry. All these cowboys with their Bibles have got me more than slightly worried. Cause when I told them to turn the other cheek, I meant learn to take it on the goddamn chin. But the gospel, it got garbled. Now I'm afraid I'm gonna have to try again. All things bright and beautiful, all creatures great and small, all people proud and pitiful. We flail, we fail, we fall. Well, first we walk and then we run. Oh, and baby, then we stumble. Let's spread our wings up to the sun, and then together we can tumble. And if you don't believe in miracles, let's just say that makes two of us, my friend. But it's something like a miracle that every day we get to try again. Yeah, ain't it something like a miracle that every day we get to try again.
Thank you so much, Jeff, for that beautiful song. And would you please rise in body and or spirit? And as we prepare to sing What a Wonderful World, this service may be ending, but our service in the world continues. You are a miracle, so use your powers for good. I'll see you soon. Can't wait to hear the miraculous step that you're going to take today. Amen.
go. Nice. All of y'all. So, Reverend Roy and our folks on virtual, we say goodbye to you right now, but never from our love and our hearts as you go into your celebrations and concerns, and we will do the same here. So we'll see you all later, and have a wonderful day. Please be safe outside. It is going to be brutal feeling, okay? So y'all be safe. Bye, Roy. Bye, all of you all. Bye-bye. Okay.